Okay, so for a lot of people, color is a very intimidating thing to begin with because they don't really know what to start. They don't know what colors to make things. So there's a few things you can do that makes that quite a bit easier. Mainly one thing that you can do to make it quite a bit easier, and that's having a good color scheme. So there's something like a little plugin built into Photoshop that's really helpful for that. There's also a website you can go to, and that's called Adobe Color. So if you go to Window, Extensions, Color, Kuler, and bring that up. Basically what this is a way for you to create a quick color scheme. And right now it's set to custom, so everything's kind of, very, very customizable. But I would recommend starting on something like a triad color scheme, and then working from there. So pick your main color, pick the color that you want to be everywhere, or a color that you want. So like, for example, I know for a fact, I don't care what any color of anything else is, but I know for a fact that I want his skin to be a light greenish blue color. So I can start out by picking that light greenish blue color here, and I can move these around. And so if I say that I want this for, absolutely certain that I want this to be his skin color, then I have a pretty good color scheme, a triadic color scheme that Adobe sort of made for me already. So what I can do then is come down here, and this adds it to my color swatches. So now if I go up here to my swatches, these last 5 colors here are my color scheme. Now you don't have to stick to these verbatim. You don't have to only use these colors, but they're definitely a good starting point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm just going to name this layer Swatches. And I'm going to use my paintbrush, and I'm just going to make a few color swatches so I have them right here to use, and I don't have to worry about going back to my swatches. So one at a time, I'll just select a color and do a little dab and have this be my color swatches. So I can always come back here and sort of just hold down Alt and sample these and use those as my color swatches. So now I have a good starting point for my colors. Okay, so from here I'm going to actually start selecting things and coloring them in. So if I turn off my line work here, you'll see that I have, and I'll turn this off too just so we can see everything. You'll see that most everything here is done with a pencil, which gives me the hard edge, which lets me use my magic wand tool. This makes it very easy to use my, if I can find it, my magic wand tool, and I can put the tolerance down to 0, and if I just use that on the layer of my base color, for the most part it should select everything pretty well. You may have to go in and make multiple selections. Let's try setting our tolerance to 1, because so see, that works a lot better. Set your tolerance to 1. That means if there's one slightly different pixel, it'll still select it. So what we can do here is turn my line work back on. So we can make a selection. I'll make a new layer here. We can make a selection based off of our base color layer. So like say I want to color his skin a certain color. So I'll select his head, his arms, his feet, and I get his backpack selected there, but that's okay, we can erase it. And then I can just come over to my paint bucket. I'll go to my new layer here, layer 9, grab my paint bucket, hold down Alt to sample this color, and then I can just fill that in. So now I have my my color there. And now that I'm looking at it, I think that's quite a bit too blue, which is fine. I can edit that. But now I can just deselect here, and I can erase. And I have his skin tone there. So what I will probably do is separate this out into a few different layers first, and then I'll probably organize it a little bit differently later, but I'll just go ahead and name this layer skin. And let's see, I'll make a new layer, and we can sample some of these other things. So I'll go back to my magic wand and think about things like leather. So I can just start sampling, hold down shift to sample multiple things. So I'll grab all this leather stuff here, all these straps. And maybe his patches down here, and I'll make them this light brown. And then maybe for the wood, go back to the magic wand here. Maybe for the wood of the staff, make sure you have the base color layer selected whenever you do that, just so you're selecting on the right layer. So the staff, his shirt, what else? Maybe the backpack here. No, we'll wait and make that a different color. We can make that the darker brown. Oops. Again, make sure you're working on the right layer. It's something I do all the time, so always make a new layer and make sure you have things on an appropriate layer. So once you start getting some color in here, what you can do, as long as you have everything laid out on a different color or a different layer, you can come in and start changing up some of these colors. So say I think that maybe his skin's a little too saturated, I can hit my Control U, which is hue saturation, and maybe drop the saturation a little bit, and maybe the darkness a little bit as well, and that will give me a little better color. And say for like this one here, the wood and the shirt, maybe I want that to be quite a bit darker. And I can basically just come in and start coloring things like this. Now another cool thing you can do, since we already did our value study, I can take this base color and I can put that on top, and I can change the blending mode to something like multiply, or multiply makes it a little dark. So what I do a lot of times is I'll just select my blending mode normal, so it's got this little blue box around it, and then I hit my up and down keys to kind of go through the different blending modes until I just find something that that I like. So probably something like that works well. looks pretty transparent, like it's not doing much. You can always just change it to multiply as well and just bring the opacity way down. And that will help quite a bit too. But for now, we'll just keep kind of doing the same thing we were. I'll keep that at the bottom. I'll have it on, and we can just kind of keep working the way we were. So, so like something like his staff here, that's going to be a bright glowing color. So probably that purple color would be good. So again, I will select a new layer or create a new layer. Go to my base color layer, go to my magic wand, sample an area that I want, switch to my paint bucket tool, sample the color, go to that new layer I just created and fill that in. So I can do that with his eyes as well. And I can always edit it later, so if things aren't quite the way I want them, I can always come in and touch up the paint. It's okay to do some of these on the same layer too, just depending on what you're going for. I mean, we basically at this point just want them on separate layers so we can alter them if we need to. So let's see, maybe his rucksack. Well, I guess the strap here would be the same color as his leather straps, or the backpack would. Maybe his sleeping bag would be a little bit different, but I think that would be relatively the same color. I think in this case I might have to paint that in. Which is also just as easy to do. So I'll just make a new layer there and grab my pencil tool again. I'll sample that color and I can just come in. And then maybe we'll make his sort of sleeping pad there a different color. Maybe that darker brown. And I'm not worrying about naming a lot of these layers too much at the moment, because I'll probably come in and merge these together at some point anyway. And probably change up the colors a little bit too. Alright, so for the most part now we have a pretty decent color scheme. We have everything, all of the colors flatted in, and we can still come in and alter them. I didn't change his pants color. I kind of like them gray like that. I kind of like the sword gray like that too. And I can always change these things. Nothing is ever set in stone. This is why we're doing concept art before we start modeling or drawing orthographics for our characters, so we can figure these things out at an early stage, so we're not still figuring them out as we're modeling. So next I'll probably come in and do a lot of alterations to the different colors, and maybe start painting in some shadows and highlights and stuff like that.